Hi there. Welcome to episode 14 of Road Trip to Fairfax video podcast. So glad you're here joining us, joining me. We have a special guest co-host tonight, a friend of mine who I met at my little dance. I do a daily dance break in the middle of the day. And my friend Paul McCarthy, who joins me on that dance, is on a road trip across the United States, visiting friends, saying hello to people, and he just happens to be in Oakland today, here, now, visiting me. He's going to be my pilot.
Well, hello, Harmony.
Hey, Paul, welcome. You made it.
I did.
Just in time.
So we're ready to go to Fairfax?
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah. Where's
Okay.
Fairfax?
Fairfax? You haven't been to Fairfax, right?
I have not.
You're not from California. Oh, and you're not from the Bay Area. Oh, all right. So for you, for me, for anybody else who's interested, Fairfax is a little town between Oakland or the Bay Area, on the east side of San Francisco Bay, across the bay, kind of through Marin, and then there's this little town called Fairfax before you get to the coast. And Fairfax has had an ecstatic dance on Friday nights for I don't know how long now, but we've been going. I've been going as long as we were having live dances. Yeah, so that's where we're going.
Well, it sounds like fun, and I'm probably a little early on this trip for actually experiencing live dance. But I think that would be a great way to travel around the country and basically go to different places and dance with different people.
Ooh.
So the closest I've gotten is coming here and dancing with you earlier this afternoon.
Yeah.
which was definitely fun.
That was sweet. Yeah. So Paul arrived today. He's been traveling. You can tell us where in a second, but through Arizona and then kind of through. Where was I with you? At the Joshua National Forest, driving by. We had a phone call as Paul was approaching this area, and Carmel and Paso Robles, and he's here today, and we got together, and it's the first time we've met in person. And one of the things we did was put some music on, start to dance, and even not just dancing to the music, but contact improvisation dance, which we both know and love, and we haven't done much of during COVID. Yes. Because it's touch, right? That's contact improvisation. It's like you're definitely leaning into.
And I'll tell you, if you've been spending a lot of time in a car, you really start to kind of freeze up, and that helped break a lot of things loose.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yep.
God, because it's almost like we do a lot of rolling on the floor. It's like mutual, interactive, dynamic body work. Both people are sort of smashing into each other and like giving, laying and moving and stretching, and
it's like friendly judo.
Well, tell me about that. How's it friendly judo?
Well, when I was younger, I did judo and I did some wrestling, and one of the things that was always really nice about that was sort of getting in and grappling and being, close. But those things all kind of involve fighting, and now I'm not so interested in fighting, and I don't want to get broken because that can happen too.
Right.
And contact improv is you're watching out for yourself or you're watching out for the other person. It's a cooperative endeavor, but it has a lot of the same things going for it.
Yeah, there's a lot of body contact. There's kind of what I call yielded resistance, where you press into someone, they do let you press, but with a little resistance, you can feel where they are. It's almost constant boundary setting and cueing and communicating with your partner. And as you said, most martial arts are competitive, and this is really cooperative, right? And collaborative. So we're kind of become an us, and that us kind of moves us. Is that your experience? That's kind of how I experience it.
Yeah, and there's different paths to coming to contact improv, I think, and I'm not exactly sure how I got invited and showed up, but I also have a lot of dance experience with swing and blues and fusion, which is blues and swing and Latin dance and other things. And I've that sort of brought me to fusion, which is in some sense where people who are interested in getting away from more structured forms end up, a lot of them, in dancing. Um, and it's kind of interesting. I don't think any of the other people that I dance with in Ann Arbor doing contact improv, they don't really, um, they haven't had that experience. And so there's
Coming
different,
through in that pathway, you mean, like
right.
through the martial arts or through the
I think
fusion?
they haven't come through the fusion.
Ah,
And
okay.
so there's a bunch of sort of movement vocabulary that they're not
Familiar?
familiar with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It is a language. I mean, there's a language in itself in contact improvisation. Anytime I think we dive deep into a subject matter and we're really looking deeper than most people, we almost have to create new language to describe what it is we're seeing or what we're feeling.
Right. Well, in the Ann Arbor group, we don't have any music and actually end up telling jokes and stories and stuff, and it ends up being really a lot of fun. I have invited a few people into contact improv from fusion dancing, and I think a lot of them found it to be really challenging. Even the ones that were really
Mm,
very willing to explore things with their
mm,
feet, but it's mostly feet on the ground and sort of,
mm.
and weight sharing is, I mean, there's a few, not much lifting, but I guess stuff like that. But I think they found it a real challenge.
So let me see if I'm hearing you right, that you've come into contact, maybe, or at least through sort of the fusion dance and the feet on the ground and the partnering work. And then you've come into a contact improv community, which really doesn't dance to music, really isn't, they're vertical, but not in those same kind of structured ways that
Mm-hmm.
steps and partner dancing has. And so inviting some of those people into the more structured sort of uh, less full body contact and some other kind of signaling was a little bit difficult for them. It wasn't so comfortable, something like that.
Yes, and I think some of it is just the unfamiliarity of some of the moves that contact improv dancers do is odd, like,
For structure, yeah, because
yeah.
we're,
But there's a lot of contact in fusion, or
yeah,
can be.
physical
So
contact
a
for
lot of
sure. Yeah.
physical contact. It's very expressive, but the thing that is kind of interesting that I think, and we talked about it earlier today, is that contact doesn't have is so much hand to hand and eye contact, which you tend to have a lot more in those other dance forms,
Mm-hmm.
or the way it's usually practiced.
Mm.
And I
Mm.
ran into your dance kind of because I just retired.
My daily dance break, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
that or daytime dance break. Yeah.
And I went into a few others, and first of all, I was like, well, how does dance even work in Zoom? So I
Mm-hmm.
missed about 9 months of fun because of that.
Darn.
And then
Hey,
especially
are you
contact.
leaning into me? I hope so. That's what I
Well,
want
it's
you to
because
do
you're
here.
hogging the space.
Well, I want
Look.
you to lean because the squish. That now, yeah, no. Okay, there we go. Perfect.
Be careful what you ask for.
I got it, folks.
Yeah. So
Don't forget.
yeah. What was I saying? Oh, um,
Something important.
yes, undoubtedly.
Oh God, we're having fun. We're not supposed to do that. Oh, stop,
Oh,
stop.
yeah. Okay.
No, no, no.
Is there,
I'll tell you what you were
is there a
saying.
laugh track button?
You were talking about how you got into the daytime dance
Oh,
break.
yes, that's right. And I thought the thing that will absolutely not work is contact improv, because there's absolutely nothing about the Zoom interface that does any of the things that all of us contact improvers do when we're practicing. And and yet I found it was some of the very most fun, and I think it was because nothing works, people are willing to try anything.
They're out of the box for sure,
Yeah.
right? Wait, how do we even do this? It's a brand new kind of
Right. And
right
so
coming in that
one of
way.
the things that's pretty interesting is to think, well, how might contact improv be different when we all get together after having
Yeah,
done all
done
this
the
done all this
on-screen
Zoom
work, right?
dancing? And I hope that we end up looking at each other's eyes a little more.
Oh, brilliant. I like it. I think you could start by doing it. That's how memes get started.
Well, that certainly happens
Can you look into my eyes here?
Yes, it's always
I'm
weird.
looking in my own eyes. It's really weird when we're side by side. I forgot how to do this because usually we're in different boxes and you're like only person I'm looking at and not me.
Yes.
And now I'm
Yeah, I'm
looking at me
having a,
too.
yeah, right.
We're getting
So,
used to this driving side by side because we haven't done it for a long time. And
mhm.
normally we'd be talking like this. And our riders would be in the back, not
Okay.
in the front. So that's different too.
Okay. All right.
So bear with us, folks.
Yeah.
We're doing something different that we haven't done before, so we're figuring it out as we
Yes,
go.
kind of, yeah, it's like Zoom improv,
There we go.
right?
Yeah, and it's
So,
road trip improv.
right. So it'll be like I said, it'll be really interesting to see what happens with all that. But the other weird thing, which I think will be interesting to see, is are we going to have something that is mixed practice where there are people dancing and you also somehow have Zoom happening?
Oh, there already are.
There
Now,
are.
I don't know for sure about in the contact improv, which can be an only contact improv space. I mean, I came up through dance, then found contact improv, then was every other contact improv only, and then freestyle dance, and then ecstatic dance, which started to somewhat blend the two. People
Hmm.
started doing more touch without having learned the social dance steps,
Yes.
but started improvising with touch,
Well,
which is
and
hang on,
I think.
which was something that I introduced in Oakland.
Okay.
Really, I was one of the people, one of the early people there. And why was I telling you all that? Oh, because so I've been hosting for what was an in-person dance in Santa Cruz called Dance Church,
Hmm.
and they have a Sunday morning, for 20 years dance that's live with rotating DJs and so on. It's a
Hmm.
community, really beautiful community event. And when COVID hit, they also came up with a virtual version
Hmm.
of their dance. And as COVID started to open up a little, or even almost before, they created these outside pods of people. So there were those of us hosting and dancing on the Zoom screen with other
Hmm.
dancers on the Zoom screen. And then what was also included was a laptop out there outside showing the people dancing together outside, distanced with masks, so that we had both in one space.
Now, I think that can work pretty well in Ecstatic. And we also, I didn't even mention that because now that I think about it, the people who invited me in to Contact Improv, I met them at Dance Church in Ann Arbor, and then the schedule was such that you could go um, to go afterwards to Contact
So you were
Improv.
dancing live with Ann Arbor folks, and then they said, "Hey, why don't you come to Contact Improv?" And
Right.
that's how you got in
But
that door.
the
Yeah,
thing is that a lot of ecstatic dance, you basically are kind of in a room full of people dancing with yourself. Yeah.
maybe not my experience, but it could be
Well,
yours.
there's things where you pick up and drop and everything else, but at least it doesn't have as its main component being
Partnering,
partnering,
right?
right?
Yeah.
So
If I were God and I ran the world, it would, but it doesn't yet. So that's what I do in my dances.
I see. Are you?
Am I am I am I running for office?
Yes, I was wondering if you were
You
auditioning for
can
that.
vote for me now. Right now, I'm running for God. uh, well, I'll just say for me, what makes me the happiest dancing. I mean, I can always dance with me, but in the Oakland dance, there's 300 people. So there's going to be a few people that will dance with me. And I pretty much, once I start dancing and I connect with one person, I'm going from person to person to person through the whole 2 hours. And
Yeah.
most of them are strangers that I've never danced with
Mhm.
before. So it's possible, but maybe rare.
Well, that does
Yeah.
happen quite a bit, and we have a lot smaller group in Ann Arbor, but
Mhm.
I think there sometimes are 30 people there. I mean, it's hard to.
Soloing. It could be 30 people soloing
Well,
too. Yeah.
30 people dancing, and then there are some people, and then you do kind of link up and de-link and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then there are people that you dance with who you don't ever touch, but you're looking at each other
In the
and
eye. Yeah. You're
and
having.
mirroring, and there's a real communication and connection there. And that stuff I found works very well on Zoom. So,
Right. That translates on Zoom. We can do the eye connection and we're sort of echoing the movement,
mhm.
and those are the main pieces. And there's music. So all those are,
Right.
creating a parallel experience that's similar, even though, yeah,
Right. It's kind of an exchange of movement offerings.
yeah, yeah. It is almost like call and response with movements. And that is very different from a dance like contact, which at its core is touch based
Hmm.
communication.
Yeah.
So, you really aren't doing contact improv yet until you're connected to somebody with touch.
Hmm.
That's when the dance, in a sense, starts. And that's what people that are contactors, uh, whatever that means, expect. They come to
Hmm.
be connected, not to just solo in the corner,
Yeah.
by themselves.
Right.
So yeah, that was a basic core difference there. Um, I'm wondering if that level of intimacy, because there's a lot of intimacy with eye contact and even just facing another
Hmm.
human being. But in contact improv, there's physical contact, and that's very intimate also. So, just having that much access to another person's body with your body, even if they're a total stranger,
Hmm.
that's a deep level of intimacy and trust going
So do you
on.
think it's why, at least in my experience in contact improv, there hasn't been a lot of eye contact?
I was just going to go there.
Is it
Yeah.
just like too much?
I think it's a lot, yeah, to have, it's already a lot just to do the physical part. And now if you layer in that eye contact as well, well, at that point, you're falling in love with people because there's so much intimacy.
Yeah.
That was a joke, but it really is. I think
Hmm.
there is that. It's kind of, we can do this or that, but when we put now,
Hmm.
that can be, I think that is a theory worth checking out,
Hmm.
put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to dance and to connect, but not to fall in love. So
Well, I fall in love with every partner I dance with, but I don't marry them. I don't have sex with them. I
yeah.
just love them.
Well,
And I love
yes.
myself at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
But you sort of, when a dance is over, the obligations are done.
There never were any.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
right.
put obligations in the first place in the dance. It's total freedom.
Yeah.
If I feel like being with somebody and they want to be with me, I'll be with them. When I don't, I don't. And I'm not, uh,
Yeah.
I think that's another layer though, honestly, and a lot of people come to a dance for the social connection and they're looking for a mate or they're
Mhm.
looking for, a romantic partner or they're looking, for that kind of deeper relationship. And so it's not surprising that people uh, find that sometimes in a
Mhm.
dance, and B, that kind of energy might be coming from like someone might be
Mhm.
not just having a dance, but having a dance where they would like to dance more,
Mhm.
and that's part of what happens in these dances. And so that's another layer of uh, boundary, if you will.
Mhm.
Uh, if it's either eye contact or touch, maybe there's something in there about how much you give your
Mhm.
physical body access to someone who might not just be having a momentary experience, but be dreaming of a longer experience. That
Mhm.
energy that comes with that, and so that can be a challenge. And yeah.
Well, there can be expectations that turn into disappointments, I suppose.
Imagine there are.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I mean, I've done orientation, sort of navigation of the contact improv space. I
Mhm.
did that as um, a position that I held with the Oakland Ecstatic Dance, the Sunday morning dance. And what I found was surprising that I would have, especially, I could say everyone, but young women that would come in and they had no idea how to hold boundaries or navigate or what they should
Mhm.
or shouldn't let somebody do, or what do I do if someone tries to lift me or touch me or come in too close.
Mhm.
There, just because there's no real guidelines there coming into that dance. It's just no
Mhm.
shoes, no talking, no drugs. Those are kind of the three. And respect people, but that's, what does that mean?
Mhm.
So I was coaching women especially, but others, how to, come in with their own intention. Do you
Mhm.
want that or you don't want that? Can you be clear, and how can you communicate that? Can you figure it out in the moment and keep assessing
Mhm.
yourself and not collapse or else dominate?
Mhm.
These different kinds of ways that human beings interact uh, interpersonally that are tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you got a cichlid tank, the cichlids are always like messing with each other. And then there's fish that go into the tank that
What's a cichlid? I'm sorry.
it's a kind of a tropical fish that we
Oh,
have.
okay. Okay,
And
thank you.
then you put giant danios in there, and they swim around a little bit, and they kind of distract the cichlids from beating on each other.
Oh,
I'm
so they're the
in
sheriffs a
yeah,
little bit.
in these well, I don't know.
Oh,
I'm kind of like a giant danio in there, in which case that nobody really cares about what I'm doing, and I just go and have fun. So
right.
that's
I
fine.
think I followed you. Let me take a breath on that one. That was a little bit, whoo, what's he saying? So because I had 12 interpretations when you finished, and I'm like, oh wait, I don't know which
It
one you
just
mean.
makes me wonder whether my wife is feeding the fish while I'm gone.
Oh, that's what it's all about. You're tricky. Yeah. Did you get that? Are the fish getting fed?
Yeah, that's right.
Ah, I won't stick my finger in your mouth because he's
Thank
not
you.
a fish. What are you? You're a what type of fish was it?
Giant danio.
Daniel, giant Daniel. Oh,
Well,
Daniel boy.
no,
Where are you?
danio.
I know. I'm doing a wordplay.
Right.
Can I?
No,
Okay, never
not
mind.
this time.
I'm
So how
chastised.
far are we from Fairfax?
It's a 45-minute drive, depending on traffic. Usually we get slammed right in the beginning, and everybody heading out of town or home on Interstate 80, which is the very first leg, is just like,
Yes.
that's why I don't drive, you're driving.
Yes, okay. I have been doing a lot of driving,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, you have.
Yes, so
That's a thing. I'm really curious because, as you guys know, as I just said at the beginning, I have not met Paul in person before.
mhm.
He showed up at my online dance, started coming pretty consistently. Next thing I know, he's scheduling this trip to go all over the United States. And I said, well, come to Oakland, kind of throwing it off as a throwaway comment. And 3 weeks later, he's driving and maybe even gonna come into our daily middle of the day dance, on the road somewhere. I'm thinking maybe in a park, you set up, your laptop
Well,
and you dance with us.
we did join from my daughter's apartment in Tempe with a couple of her friends, and
That was fun.
yes, it was.
Yeah, that was fun. That was Friday. That just happened actually.
Yes.
So we had 3 people in one screen. This man and his daughter and her, I guess, roommate. Maybe she's in college.
Just
a friend. Okay. And so you managed that, but this is an interesting time to take this kind of a trip, and maybe partly because of COVID. I think there's sort of an edge there.
Well, yes, and what happened is I retired at the end of the year, and I was sort of like, trapped like lots of people and wasn't getting the intellectual or human stimulation from work. And then I got my first vaccine, and all of a sudden the possibilities started opening up, and Carolyn said, maybe it's time for you to go have an adventure. And
that's nice. That's your wife, right? Saying,
yes,
go. Yeah,
and
not in a bad way, in a
right,
good way.
and so we kind of set things up, and I just took off with the car, and the ultimate destination is Seattle, because I have a 1-year-old grandson who I've not met yet.
Oh, yeah.
And she is a modern dancer.
Okay, so you have a grandson. So who's the she?
Oh,
just name her.
My daughter, Caitlin.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Caitlin.
so she is a dancer and choreographer and teacher of dance, and just produced some shows in Seattle. And back a few years ago when I was visiting, I got to go to the contact improv class that she was running, which was really fun.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I want to reel you back because I don't think I quite know how you started dance, because I've been dancing 25, and dance is my life. And I don't know if you've been dancing that long and this is just where you've gotten to, or you.
I used to have dance parties in my living room in junior high school, so it's been on for a while.
And in your blood for a while there. Yeah, it's in your bones, right? And I think I remember you telling me as we were visiting today that you'd done some ballet performance, if that's what it's called, right?
Yes. And it was 17 years ago, because Caitlin was 17, and a pair of parents at the party dropped out, and they said, "Do anybody know anybody who can dance?" And
they dropped out of the production, you mean?
Yes,
right?
And they had to find somebody really quick, and I think she said, "Well, my dad's kind of coordinated.
He kind of moves pretty good."
And so yeah, she invited me, and it was really, really good fun, and I did it for probably another 6 years.
Did you have training? or did you just kind of
No,
step into the part and try to do the lifts and whatever you were doing?
yes, but it was really set up. The male parts were designed to be something that could be done. I mean, it was quite carefully
Not real
choreographed.
fancy, is what you're saying. Not sort of like you didn't need
Well, my neighbor, when he went to
Reznikov
see
or
it,
whatever the
was
names are.
quite impressed. So,
Okay. He said, did you notice that guy's
yeah,
body language? Like, well,
yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
don't misrepresent me. I was
That's
good,
right.
damn it. Yeah.
Yeah,
You've been teaching me this today too. Like, I made some dinner tonight for us both. It was a shrimp curry with some white rice.
really good.
And yeah, it was good. But I undercooked the rice or didn't measure it right. And I was saying, yeah, I know how to make better rice than that. And what did you say to me? Do you remember the words? If you don't, I can paraphrase it for you.
Yeah, I don't. Whatever.
Okay, so brain fart. It was something like, rather than focus on the parts that weren't so great, if they weren't, something like celebrate that it was an awesome meal and the curry was really good. And I was like,
yeah, the whole thing worked great.
I could do more of that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So don't apologize. Just say thank you.
That's it. Don't apologize.
Or you're welcome. Or you're welcome.
Or you're welcome. Or wow.
Yes.
That was the third one. Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't remember why I brought that up. Something about the meal and about the dancing and about the apologizing. Oh yeah, that's what it was. You're
Yes.
proud of your ballet
It was just fine.
debut. Yeah. Yeah.
And when I got off the stage the first time, I couldn't wait to get back on again.
Oh, that's a good feeling. Oh, this works for me. I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about that.
No, I'm way too fat for that, but
That's what COVID will do for you. 1 year in tide.
Mhm.
Eating.
yes.
Yeah, well, fat isn't a permanent condition. Just
Oh,
like life isn't
I
permanent.
hope not.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can change.
Yeah.
You know that. This is Paul. It's his first road trip. He's just getting used to me and the drive. And
No, I
like,
have
we hit the
actually. I
traffic.
actually have seen a couple of them already.
Oh,
That's-
but you haven't been the
No.
co-host.
No.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, whatever that means.
Mhm.
And your phone is ringing anyway. I told him to turn it off.
I thought I did actually.
Yeah, well, that's okay. It's just kind of a little. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
No, it's okay. It'll stop, and it's
Yes.
kind of soft, so it's okay.
Yep.
Let's take a breath here, since we're in traffic.
Yep. So I'll tell you about the trip. So first of all,
Yes, I want to hear about
I've been-
why and what.
well, I mean, it's to
whatever.
get there, but some of it was I used to hitchhike a lot, and so some of the aspects of hitchhiking and things that I have enjoyed in my life, and maybe it's an improv kind of thing, is not having things too planned
Right.
and striking out on your own. And what I had was friends and family of friends, and I've stayed with all of those kinds of people on this trip. And it's basically drive one day and then stay two. And
That's a nice rhythm.
yes. And,
Drive a lot one day and then stay two.
yeah, and there's been a
right?
couple of stay one day kinds of things, but it's sort of been like that. So and
How's it going? How are you feeling?
really good. And I'm not tired of driving yet.
Wow. So that's why you're driving me to Fairfax. Number one. Hello. Oh, you remembered you had a steering wheel. Good. That was wonderful. Yeah. No, it sounds like, well, and you're getting a lot of great stimulation from the people you're visiting. You care about people and you're spending not just 10 minutes or on
Yes.
Facebook, but some
And
real time.
And among the people I've been visiting are some family friends who are of my father's, for instance. So, and my mom and dad. And so people I've really known my whole life, and they just they're hard to see. And so I've spent some time with some really, really smart old people. And
Smart old people.
And I think you can say old people when they're in their 90s.
Oh, okay. I guess I
Yeah.
haven't cut that grade yet.
Yeah. So
I'm still a youngster.
yeah. So they, and that's been really a neat thing.
And I just want to clarify, they're hard to see because they live across the nation from you now, right?
Yeah,
They
that's
used to be
right.
neighbors, and now they're over here in more
Yep.
like the West Coast or along the way. Yeah. So you've been sort of, I don't know. I was trying to think of a word with that's like going to an oasis and stopping and really diving in and then going again and
Yeah.
really communing with people that are important, that you respect, and that you have heart connections for life with,
Hmm.
right? Deep
Yeah.
connections. That must feel really rewarding.
No, it's been
Yeah.
really neat. I've stayed with a cousin, a friend from grad school. I stopped and spent a couple of days visiting my um, college girlfriend in Albuquerque. That
Wow.
was really fun. I hadn't seen her for, I don't know,
Don't give your age away.
16 years or something like that. It was really a long time. And you know,
What was
ended
a
up,
highlight so far? What's your best highlight so far?
yeah,
Yeah, take them.
I hate
All of
doing
them.
rank ordering, so
All
I'm
right.
going
So
to,
just
so
all right. Let me see if I can phrase that differently. Just name one thing you really enjoyed so far.
well, I just spent about 4.5 hours with a really, really smart man who is in this, he's 95 and was one of my dad's maybe best friends at work anyway. And we talked about absolutely everything. His mind is so sharp, and
Mm.
it was really neat. I mean, things from parallel evolution and platypuses to things related to kind of mirror images. Yeah, and which actually connects back to dance a little bit.
Yeah, we'll go there.
And oh, and he's way into Richard Feynman. So I now have a eight CD set to listen to
Oh wow.
from him.
Wow.
So we just covered all kinds of topics.
Oh, that's so
And
awesome to have
yeah,
that
and it's
shared.
really sad because he's in a place where most of the people can't talk or carry on even an ordinary conversation, and yet he's sort of
And
stuck
he's
there.
just sharp as a tack. But does he take calls, or can you do like iPad like Zooms with him or something?
Well,
Or does that even as
tried
good?
calling him a couple times, and well, he says he always answers the phone. That hasn't been my experience, but now that I just got done talking to him, I think
Maybe.
I'll
Now he'll answer maybe. Yeah, he might have needed that. Is that what you're
no,
saying? Did I
no, I
miss
think
it?
he was probably just in the bathroom.
Oh,
He says
every time. Yeah.
every time.
He just lives in the bathroom like old people do sometimes,
Well,
even young people.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's been one of the real recent
All right.
highlights.
Yeah, you did mention that.
Mhm.
I'm going to confess my own ego vanity. As soon as you said I spent like 4 hours just really recently, I thought you were going to say with this wonderful woman, and we did this gorgeous dancing together, and we just hit it off like
Well,
anything. And I've never talked to her before
that was
now.
the highlight of today, I guess, combined with spending some time watching sea otters splashing
Oh, that's
around.
right.
So that,
You got to do that.
it's pretty
And then
hard
you
to.
got to be one. See one? Mhm. I think our movement is somewhat like sea otters when we're rolling around on the floor.
Right, but
Oh, I didn't say that loud enough for you.
We're
guys,
not
sorry.
we're not nearly that sleek, I would say.
What? Who are you talking about?
And I don't have the really long whiskers that the
Oh
sea
yeah, well
otters
those
have.
are minor details, in my opinion. But anyway, you got to see otters. You were in Monterey Aquarium. Where were you? No.
No, I was at Moss Landing.
Oh, right, Moss Landing.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can tell I know my own geography really well.
Yeah.
Not. You can tell me about my beautiful state. Sorry,
Well, it is very nice. One of the things that's really fabulous here are just all the different plants, and I've gone out and taken pictures of just some really, really strange flowers and stuff. So things from all over the world have gotten moved here and been planted, and that's been really, really nice.
I think I'm a little bit taking it for granted in this neighborhood. I mentioned to you how this has so many microclimates, and almost anything and everything will grow here. And people have all kinds of wild things that they, cultivated in their yards in different, configurations. It's amazing stuff I never would imagine exist as plants. It's just fascinating. I'm really fascinated when I slow down to really look into, the botany as well.
Right. Well, it's really neat to travel long distances, but sometimes if you just travel over to the nearest plant and really actually look at it carefully, there's a lot going on.
This reminds me of walking with a 2-year-old where, we're trying to get somewhere and they're just down in the details, fascinated with life and the awe and the wonder.
Yes.
That's a wonderful.
I've been told that running with me back when I tried to run was like running with a dog because I had to stop and sniff.
Wait, spend some time with those mushrooms or whatever was there. Yeah. I see that in the way we talk even. Well, and then you
Yeah.
come back out. Yeah, and I enjoy that. I'm a deep thinker and experiencer as well. I think that's part of why we fit. Like we can hang out. Do you think?
That's true.
I mean, I'm not be. Yeah, what? What's your hesitation? I can hear it and feel it. Your arms crossed across your chest.
It's really not hesitation.
Oh.
I think we get along just fine. But we also haven't tried to do it for very long because I just got here this afternoon.
It's a long time for me. It's a full day with me.
Oh, yeah?
That's a lot for me. Yeah, I don't spend a
Oh,
lot of full days with
oh.
anybody, especially people I barely know.
Well, that's been one of the, I think one of the really neat things in terms of this trip is, and we had more people coming into our house than usual because we have teenage kids at home, and so they bring their friends in. And, we've got some really nice neighbors we've been potting with, but I've been going to people's houses, and in many instances, this is the kind of the first time they've really had anybody
guests.
had guests,
Yeah.
and I've gone out to restaurants with this people say, "Oh, that's the first time I've been out in a restaurant in a year."
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of firsts, and people are things are opening up, and people are getting vaccinated, and people are. I've been reading a little on whatever articles, like something today about how people are somewhat awkward. Their social skills have sort of rusted in some ways, and what do you do when you see someone at the door? Is it shake hands? Do we hug with the mask on, with the mask off? What if someone doesn't want it? These are kind of new. There's a lot of guessing and maybe unknown and some discomfort and yeah, getting reoriented basically. Yeah. Yeah.
it's part of the socialization process.
Yeah.
So
Resocialization even. Yeah. Right.
Well, I've been out socializing.
Yeah, you have been. Nice. Good work. You're a beacon and an example and an inspiration, I think. So thank you for that. And here you are with me. I mean, I haven't had a couple guests during this last year, and those are people I know. So I want to take a little moment here, though, because there was something that you were talking about, and I can feel that you wanted to come back to it, and I want to give you a moment here to see if there's something you want to share before we get all the way to Fairfax that's important to you.
Well, are you talking about the sort of mirror image thing?
That's it. Yes, I knew it was there in your brain.
So it struck me a lot when, like, it comes up when you're doing leading and following, that essentially the leader and the follower, if you're doing, sort of swing dancing or blues dancing, they, basically the partners are mirror images of each other. And then and that's hard when you go to switch from leading to following, because all of a sudden you have to, you've got a different, the hands switch to the other. You can see this, but basically you switch over to the other side and you initiate steps differently. So in a Zoom environment, where a lot of times what I think is really fun and works really well is you start initiate a movement, some movement invitation.
Show us one.
Well,
do a little something here with your hands or whatever. Yeah.
Well, you can do, things like this. Or,
let's let it in the screen. There we go. Yeah.
So
some kind of repetition.
Right.
A little bit of, where you're not doing a bunch of things, you do something a few times.
And attempting to establish.
Catch someone's attention.
Right. And when you see what they're doing, and then you kind of mirror that. But the interesting thing is that when you're looking at yourself, you're seeing a mirror image, because it's very confusing to lift up this hand, and if it's not a mirror image, you see it over on the other side where you don't expect it, because we're so used to looking into mirrors. And so I've been there doing it.
Let's just pause for a second, because I want to clarify that for anyone watching and for myself. Is that okay?
Sure.
Just to get clarification. So right now, when I'm looking, I see my right hand on my right. It feels like it's on my right. It's on the right side of my body when I look at it right now, just like as if I'm looking into a mirror. So that is the standard view. However, watch this trick. Let's see if I can get to it. Maybe I can't. There's a little trick that I might be able to pull up. Well, it's not handy. So go ahead and talk about it, and I'll see if I can find this so I can demonstrate what I mean.
I played around a little bit with switching the view, and I think it's under video or something, but switching to one where you're not doing the mirror image. And so, um,
Ignore all that.
yeah.
Oh,
So then that's really confusing. And
all right, here we go. Oops, that's not what I want. I'm sorry, hit the wrong thing, folks. This one.
that's right.
Okay, this is the mirror image where
This is
not
not
only
this is
are,
not a mirror image. This is what someone would see if they were sitting where the computer screen is. And when you lift up your hand, everything seems wrong because we're so used to looking at the mirror image. And that got me thinking, when I'm doing something and trying to mirror what somebody else is doing, am I doing the same thing they are, or am I doing a mirror image? And it makes it odd when you think somebody lifts up a hand and you think you're lifting up the same one. Is
but
it
it's the opposite maybe, right?
well,
Uh,
I don't know. So that
mm,
was one of the things that,
that's a bit of a mind twister, you know?
yes, it
Yeah.
it really is. And
And I think for me, the term mirror image, I think so if I was sitting on the other side of my screen and looking at me, I would see the hand on this side of my body. Only what it would seem like to me, if I did the same thing, is it would be the other hand. I would, if I was both lifting our right hand, they'd be on opposite sides because we are reversed.
that's right. And
So
if you were
reversed
on the
versus mirror to me means two different
in this
things.
view, if I think about myself being over there, then you are on my right. In a typical
Hmm.
mirror image, I would be looking at, it would be like looking as if my left arm was next to you. So that's
I have something to say about that too.
yeah. So anyway, that was kind of, in itself kind of interesting, and that, got me thinking about, when you're doing motions, are you doing the same thing, or are you doing the mirror image?
Uh-huh, right.
And I,
Yeah.
and I remember when I was a kid, I used to like to lie on the floor and look up at the ceiling and think about what would happen if sort of gravity was reversed from me and walk through your house. And it turns out, if you're walking on the ceiling, you're walking on a mirror image of the floor plan.
Mm.
So
Yeah, if it's a flat ceiling, that's what you're saying, sort of like,
So,
yeah.
like, if you go out a door and turn it left to go down a hallway, if you were upside down and you went through that same door, of course, you have to step over
Right.
the difference between the top, which is kind of fun to think about. But then you would turn the opposite way. What did I say first?
Left,
So now you
right.
turn
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. You'd have to reverse it to get.
Yes, because
That's a lot of thinking. I'm sure glad I don't think that much when I'm dancing. I
no,
would never
well,
be able to
but
dance.
when I was talking to Stan Kurtz, we were talking about
I get that.
some of
This is
these
the
things.
stuff that you guys get to talk about together, and he could meet you there. There's something about being met
Yeah.
in a space where very few people can meet you that is so deeply satisfying, right?
Yes, it
Well,
is.
we can go down this wormhole together.
So anyway, so that, and we were dancing on Zoom, and I actually really dislike dancing in a room with mirrors because I don't want to actually see what I look like most of the time. It's been much less bothersome in Zoom, and I'm not exactly sure why.
So that's
But
something to
maybe
contemplate.
some of it is because if I can go into a view where I see myself and the other person, then I can see if what I'm doing, how
Is
somebody else,
being how they're
sort
reacting
of
to
how
it.
somebody else sees it, or the mirror image of it, whichever it
Mm,
is.
mm.
And that kind of gives an idea about whether they're kind of accepting the movement. You have some more idea what you look like through their eyes, as opposed
Ah,
to when you're dancing and there's a mirror off to the side. You're not seeing it through your partner's eyes. You're seeing your eyes, and it's a distraction. It takes away from the connection.
especially if you're talking about close partner dancing, where when I move forward, you move back, and when I go right, you're actually going left. That whole thing is happening uh, body to body, and it gets integrated into that kind of partner movement where I'm not thinking he's going right, I should go left. It's just becomes what
Right.
you do,
But
right?
it is distracting to have either one of those people, instead of focusing on the partner, looking over at how both of
They look
you
in the
look
mirror.
in the
Yeah.
mirror. So,
Oh,
but I haven't found that to be so much true with the Zoom dancing experience. And
interesting. Yeah, that's a different, interesting debate.
yeah,
I'd like to mention something about mirroring
okay.
that's different, but my where my mind has taken me in mirroring, especially with Zoom,
Hmm.
and I might be using the term a little differently, but so I have, both Zoom and this particular app I have
Hmm.
will allow me to do what we did now. So I'm looking at you instead of me as I look into the screen. Like right in front of me is you,
Hmm.
even though the audience is seeing me point at me probably, but I'm seeing you.
Hmm.
And so that's very disorienting because although we were trying to figure out how we could sort of look at each other while we talk, and this seems to have solved it. I'm looking at you, and I think you're looking at me,
I am.
and look how easy that is. So
It is. The
that
trouble
is
is you can't check on it. So if I were to look to see where I'm looking, it spoils it because
well,
my
don't check
eyeballs
because I
have to
know
go there.
you can ask me, am I looking at you, and I can say yes.
Does it
You
look like I'm looking at
It
you?
looks like you're looking at me.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Does it
that's
look
good.
like I'm looking at you?
Yeah.
It does to me too. So then that's for me good enough.
So
Science.
here's the funny thing. So if you're sitting there
Yeah.
on Zoom and you're interacting with people, the other is that the lens isn't exactly in the middle of the screen.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so
Wait, I'm gonna have timeout because this is my turn to talk about mirroring. All right. So before you go off on that little wormhole, yeah. No, actually we're over time, but it's 45 by that clock.
okay.
Wait, it's over there. Um, what I have found delightful is when I have participated in, he's going to look at me this way, the improvisation on screen.
Hmm.
Some of the fun things to do. First of all, there's this fun thing, which is being able to go upside down. Not every Zoom can let you do that. But even more fun for me, and this is a little different because I'm getting physical feedback. Our arms are together here, so I can feel you there. But when someone's on the other side of the screen and I'm trying to move with them, and I, I don't, my body, I don't know what my body is like. I think I'm bringing up the same hand, but wait, it's over there. It's mind melting.
Hmm.
And I like that because it feels fascinating and challenging and intriguing. And it really takes my already practiced, honed, like practiced and honed ability to be in my body. And it kind of really zeroes me in this other way where I have to both look and move to see what I'm doing rather than just move and know what I'm doing and see that it's being reflected.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't.
Well, that's kind of what I was talking about, I think.
Oh, okay. So we
Yeah.
were talking about the same thing. That's
Yeah.
pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. I
Trying
couldn't
to change the subject now.
couldn't follow up. Now that we figured out it's the same thing.
We flip back, yeah.
We're back to normal. I wonder what it did to the audience. I guess they saw it flipped also, or just us. That's a question.
This is being recorded, and so much as
We'll check afterwards.
much as I don't want to listen to my voice,
you might have to watch to find out.
I might have to watch to
see if we
happens.
actually flipped.
Yeah.
Oh, you're here in person. This is the first time I've done a road trip to Fairfax in over a year with my co-host, co-pilot, pilot in person.
Yeah, it's in person is a really, really good thing.
I'm really liking it,
Good.
and I'm really appreciating that you said yes, and that you've driven us to Fairfax together.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't driven me crazy yet, which is good. That was a
Well,
joke.
yes, that's right. Well, my dad used to say, probably quoting
an important person.
Mark Twain, that fish and house guests become stale on the third day. But I'm not going to be here. I'm not.
Oh, but I live here. Never mind.
Yes. I'm going to be.
I gave him a shower too. Well, I didn't give him.
Yes, there's not room in that shower for one person. Really.
There's barely room for me. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm picking my cousin up, and we are going to be driving up to Portland together. So I'm picking her up from the airport, and I'm really looking forward to that because I've been driving all this way with nobody in the car.
Oh, you're going to get a road trip with someone.
Yeah, so you could think of this as be the first, sort of road trip with another person before I pick Naomi up.
It's your practice road trip.
That's right.
All right, good for you. So good for both of us. How about a high five? Oh, well, let's do that again. Ah! All right. Now we're going to sign off here, folks. First of all, I want to say, if you enjoyed this, let us know. There's a place where under the podcast, like where you can put comments. We love to read those. I love to read those. Mark might even read. Mark, who's this? This is Paul. Paul, it's my brother's name. Paul might even read these. It must be the end of
That's
the
okay.
hour.
When I got to your house, I yelled up to
The wrong
the
name.
balcony. I said, "Well, Melody,
Hey,
Harmony."
Melody! And I went, yeah, you got my name wrong, but you're here. That was so funny. So we're even. Yeah, so do that. Tune in next week if you like watching these live. If you want to listen on your leisure or watch on your leisure, they're in my YouTube channel, Harmony Gates. Subscribe if you like them, then you'll know they're coming, and hopefully there are more to come. That's the idea, and it's been a pleasure having you along with us on the drive. We're going to go dance now. And before we do that, we're going to sign off with our signature sign off, which is where we both make a heart. This is like, mirrored. And then we just let you have all our love this way. Push it towards the screen, Paul, and then open it up. Wash.
Okay. Very good.
We're still recording. You have to be quiet till I can hit the stop button. He doesn't know.